Hopefully you'll get why my title is How to Change the World. When I was a young man, I wanted to change the world. I found it difficult to change the world, so I tried to change my nation. When I found I couldn't change the nation, I began to focus on my town. I couldn't change the town, and as an older man, I tried to change my family. Now, as an old man, I realize the only thing I can change is myself. And I suddenly realized that if long ago I had changed myself, I could have made an impact on my family. My family and I could have made an impact on our town. Their impact could have changed the nation, and I could have indeed changed the world. Pretty deep, right?
Yeah.
The first time I heard this, I did the same thing. Wow. I realized at this moment that all we have to do to change the world is change ourselves, one person at a time. So today I'm going to tell you a couple stories about how I've changed myself in an attempt to change others and impact others and in turn change the world. So the first thing that I do is if I am nervous or unprepared or something happens all of a sudden, I fake it. I fake the confidence. So a lot of times when people are unprepared or nervous or something sudden happens, they panic. And everyone knows it. And for some reason, that makes things worse. Because then people feel really bad for you, and it's kind of like a spiral. Bad things continue to happen. And so the one thing that I learned long ago is that when you're in this moment, when you're tired at the end of a race, and you feel like you have nothing left, this is the time when you can do your best. Because it is in this moment that we do things that we never knew we could do. When I was in high school, I ran track. That's, just running around the track in the field. And at the end of the race, my muscles hurt. My body hurt. I was exhausted. I wanted to stop, and I didn't feel like I could finish many times. But I realized that if I told myself, you can finish, you can do it, all of the pain seemed to not be so bad. It was still there. It didn't go away. But I was able to make it through. And so it is in this moment that you really just have to fake it. If you don't have the energy, you have to fake some energy. Right? And a lot of times this will really, really help you in many, many different situations. The next thing is discover time. I think a lot of us don't realize how much time we really have. My mom always says there's not enough time in a day. Only 24 hours. But even if we had 36 hours, we would still feel like there was not enough time. So we have to do the best job we can with the time that we have. And so you might wonder why I have this big elephant here. And so the same friend that had the first passage, whenever I get overwhelmed, I call him. And the first thing he says to me is, Jasmine, how do you eat an elephant? And the first time he said this, I thought to myself, I wouldn't eat an elephant. But his message to me is one bite at a time. If you eat just one bite at a time, you can indeed eat an elephant. So this elephant represents all of those big projects that we have that we feel like we don't have enough time for, but if we do them in really small chunks, we will get them done. And this works even in your personal life. I love to read, but for this semester, I'm just really, really busy. And so I just felt like I didn't have enough time to read. And then I thought to myself, I do have time in between things when I'm just waiting, idle time, doing nothing. So in between classes, I'll read 1 page. When I'm at the hairdresser, I'll read a couple pages. So in between things, I will just read 1 page, and before I know it, I've finished a book. And it doesn't seem like you can get very far reading a book page by page, but it really does work. So the next thing, I've been told I have good nunchi. I don't know if it's true, but in the U.S. we call it EQ, or emotional intelligence. And I think it's an acquired skill, and it really just means that you have noticed certain patterns about people, what they do, behaviors, when they feel a certain way. And so the more you pay attention to people, the better your nunchi, or the better your EQ. And when people feel like you really are listening to them, when people feel like you understand their feelings, a lot of times they will help you out, and they'll be more receptive to you. The next thing, use your network. Okay, that was me, sorry. So use your network. And a lot of times people think of a network as some professional group of people that's going to help you get a job. And those people are your friends. A lot of you probably don't look at your friends now as a business network. But the people that you talk to every day here later in life could be really, really fantastic business partners. Okay, so definitely use your network. All of your friends have special talents, and those talents, they are just waiting to use them. Waiting to use them. When I was in college, I had to do a project. I had to make a magazine. And so when I made this magazine, or on the day when we had to turn in the magazine, most people brought in just, do you guys know Microsoft Word? Everybody knows Microsoft Word, right? So they just brought in just stapled Microsoft Word pages, A4 size, and thinking to myself, this is not a magazine. So when the teacher told us when the professor told us that we had to create a magazine, I was thinking, how am I going to make a magazine? Like, I wanted my magazine to be real, but I had no idea how to do it, how to do the layout, how to do the computer work. All I knew is how to make the content. And so what I did was I just called on my friends. I called on my friends to help me. Hey, do you know how to lay this out? Do you know what I can tell the printer to put it on very shiny magazine paper? And so on the day when we had to turn in our magazines, people were asking me, where's your magazine? They thought my magazine was the example. They thought it was a real magazine. And so I felt, yes, I really did do the assignment. And so a lot of times we don't realize our friends are really going to be a great help to us. Okay, so the next thing is be resourceful. So when I first got to Korea, this was me. A lot of the time, waiting for the bus. I'd get to the bus stop, and the bus that I needed was gone. And when I first got to Korea, I had no idea how to tell which bus would get me which place. So I called on one of my coworkers to help me. We went to a bus stop, and I found out that even for Koreans, it's quite difficult. to figure out the bus system.